Ladies and gentlemen, from the Microsoft Theater here in downtown Los Angeles.
Hey, yo, I see you, man.
Brought to you by Shawn Porter Promotions.
Hey, yo, Shawn Porter, hold tight. We coming out there.
Live from Los Angeles.
Hey, yo, put your headphones on, man.
It's time for the main event of the
Here it
evening.
is. I be the one with the rollie on. Tom Ford with it.
I'm mad that I always have my headphones on before he says it. Every time I'm like, man, that'd be smooth if I put my headphones on right when he said it.
Hey, let me get some more of that. Let me get some, turn it back up.
See, my life got us mad. Got the wife, got the kids, and the bag. They got it on prime time. They got it on the news. They got it on Fox and that pay-per-view. Now, bring it back. Yes, indeed. Bobby blows, busting your ish.
All right, kill it.
I'm fresh out the box.
Ace Boogie. Listen, I hit him up and just told him we were doing this and I want him to make one song. He's like, I'm gonna make a Shawn Porter mixtape for you. So eventually we'll drop the whole thing on everybody about there. Welcome to the Porterweight Podcast.
You might be featured.
I'm liable to do anything
A
nowadays.
little spoken word at the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Carson, can we get a mixtape?
On the mixtape or his mixtape?
No, can we get? Yeah, can A Boogie make us a mixtape?
Yeah.
I'll share it with him. We go 5-5.
Yeah. Just an EP.
Yeah.
Nah, he don't know y'all like that.
Come on.
It ain't enough to really say about y'all.
We'll get a track. We'll get a track.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you know.
We'll get a song shout out.
It is what it is. Welcome everybody to the Porterweight Podcast. Showtime, Shawn Porter here. Carson Merk. Hey, you know what? Got a new one for you. Aunt B over there.
I'll take it.
That makes him sound like he's somebody's aunt.
Auntie.
Yeah.
He's somebody's auntie. I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, Aunt B sound like Auntie B. But if I call him Auntie B, he ain't gonna like that.
No.
Why was you sitting there thinking about that?
Cause I knew later on I was gonna have to say your name. And Aunt B, that's what I had came with. But you know, we'll just go back to Aunt.
All right, cool.
It's just weak.
Aunt the dog.
Nah, we can't do Aunt the dog.
Hey, we 34 years deep.
He's gonna have to arm wrestle Anthony Durrell for Aunt the dog.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, where do we start?
Browns above 500.
Above 500? No.
Not gonna mention that. Okay.
2-1. Browns 2-1.
No, we're above 500.
Keep it moving.
That's why it's a milestone.
No, it ain't no milestone, man. Like that ain't where I come from.
It literally is where
It ain't
you
where I come from.
and where I come from.
It ain't where I come from. I don't. Everybody said y'all celebrated a defeated season. Y'all didn't have one win, so y'all threw a parade. I'm like, they threw the parade. I really wasn't a part of it. I didn't have anything to do with the planning, and if it was up to me, I wouldn't have did it.
Yeah, that was weird.
So,
but I don't mind celebrating that we're above 500.
I can't celebrate that we're above 500, and especially with the struggles within being 2-1. We not gonna outshoot.
He's a winner. You're a loser.
That's fine.
If we get into a shootout,
I'll take that.
it's not. We're not gonna come out on top of that.
Next week, Cowboys. You guys going to loss.
Oh,
Nah,
goodness.
we're smoking them.
And the Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
And the Cowboys look decent today. Ezekiel Elliott struggled. Dak Prescott has some really nice touches on the ball, but at the same time, he struggled a little bit too. So
No turnovers for the Browns. It's fine though. I understand you're not diehard anymore. I get it. Man.
I'm not diehard.
I get it, man.
Don't get me started.
I was excited to be 2-1. You said, hey,
Listen, man, I just I need everybody's respect out there, and nobody right now. Let's keep it real. Right now, nobody respects the Browns, even though they're 2-1. Nobody respects the Browns because OBJ has not been in the end zone.
He literally scored last week.
Did he?
Against Cincinnati.
Oh, once.
Yeah, that's all we need.
All
He's
right.
in the end zone.
All right. And so,
And we can even transition like this.
So last night we had the Charlo fight. That was a good battle.
That's what I was going to say. No, that
we
was
had
my
a jab,
transition.
took a guy out in the stomach. I never seen that before.
I was going to say, we were all here watching the fight together, and then it felt like 20 minutes later, I was back here to watch the Browns game. Just felt like just clocking back in. But
and we didn't have leftovers this morning.
That was
we kind of had leftovers.
That was a long day of boxing yesterday.
It was.
It felt like 12 hours.
Let me cap it off real quick. So, the Browns till I die.
Yeah.
Okay. Cleveland till there's no more Showtime, Shawn Porter. and then I got seeds behind me, so we gonna always be here.
They from Vegas. It's Caesar from Vegas.
I'm hyped. The Browns are 2-1. I'm hyped that right now we are literally on a winning streak.
Yeah.
But I want to see it continue until I really start to really
Of course,
talk.
I want to see it continue.
Right, but if we're on the
celebrate
same
small
page,
victories. Celebrate small victories.
But I think you looking for some small stuff that I don't really care
I
about.
think
right
Sean's
now.
over it. You're like, I'll take it. Sean's
absolutely.
like,
No, I'm like, I'll take it, but he like, let's take it and let's talk about it.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I wasn't gonna talk. I was just gonna say.
I know.
First time above 500 in what, 6 years, 7 years? That was it. Keep it moving from
Let's
there.
keep it
That was
moving.
it.
Outside of that, man, it was a long night.
Yeah.
I was hyped going into the night. I mean, a double pay-per-view. I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know what the details were of it all, you know. We got a halftime show.
Yeah.
And we honestly, you know, we got some, for the sake of words, some lackluster fights. We had some lighter weights that I've seen punch hard in the past. It didn't really punch hard last night. And I didn't find it disappointing. I just found it anticlimactic. You know what I mean? I felt like with the Charlos coming in, some big fights too, guys that were really gonna challenge them. I thought that the whole night was, in my mind, the whole night was gonna be you know, a lot like the Charlos fights, and it wasn't. But let's just get into the Charlos, because
I was gonna say they kind of roller coastered the emotions of it, where you had the first two fights, and it was kind of like you said, anticlimactic, where there's a stoppage in both, but you know, kind of it is what it is. Then you have the Charlo fight, and you're like, okay, you know, this is cool, good fight. We're all kind of talking about the fight, and then there's like a half an hour intermission.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you have two more, again, lackluster, just predictable fights, I guess, for lack of a better term. And then you get back into it with the Charlo fight. So it was an interesting night, and I'm sure the parties involved will look at how it went and consider changes to it, or not. Maybe they think it went well. And there were people that enjoyed it, I'm sure.
yeah.
Between the Charlos fights, it was a snooze fest.
Yeah, somebody loved it somewhere.
It was a snooze
Yeah,
fest.
very true.
We heard you.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just
not wrong.
saying, you
No,
know.
say it in the mic. Grab the mic.
Hey, come
Say
on,
it again.
matchmakers. Do your job. I do my job every day. I go to work.
What
do your job.
What do you do?
Don't tell people what I do. Okay?
Well, they also those fights, and it was sometimes you'll have those matches where it's just nobody's throwing punches, nobody's landing punches. All the fights they were landing punches, just for what?
You know what? At the end of it, I called my dad up, excuse me, and I told him what time the fights had started. I asked him if he was gonna watch it. He actually wasn't in town, and he says that's a lot of boxing. We'll see. And I still haven't talked to him, so I don't know if he watched the fights or not. But what I came back to at the end of the night was something I had said in the previous show. I said that last night was for a guy like a guy like Damian Lillard, a guy who just loves boxing, and if it's on, I'm gonna watch it no matter what. And I feel like a guy like Damian Lillard, guys that are avid boxing fans, when they don't get the quote unquote excitement, or they don't get the big blows and all the explosions and things like that they're expecting, they start to look for what's this guy doing? Where did he improve? How was his speed tonight? What was his punching power like? What was his punch output like? You know, you really start to dissect the fights as a whole. So when you say matchmakers do your job, in some ways the matchmakers did do their job, because I found myself rewatching the fights and saying, okay, well, these guys, like the kid that I was looking forward to, Luis Nery, I think he was up against a guy who was hard nosed, a guy who had some tricks to his trade, some little subtle moves that was just enough to make Nery hesitate a little bit.
Made Nery leery.
It made him hesitate sometimes. Miracle.
Hey, my man.
It made him take, you know, it was almost like he was kind of a step slower than I've seen him in the past. And so that was really one thing that I took out of the night, was that the fights, maybe if anything, were a little bit more competitive from a stylistic standpoint. And that was really all I could say about the night. Was okay, maybe the styles make fights, but in these fights, it really wasn't the style that was making the fight exciting, but it was just a contrast of the style that was making it a little bit difficult for the champions to get over the way that we've seen them in the past, outside of Brandon Figueroa and the very first fight that went on. First fight that went off.
That weight it's tricky because there's almost always there's of course a rare exception. There's always going to be a lot of punches thrown at 122, but it's if you can land, 1,000 punches in a fight, but you don't hurt the guy really, was what really happened. So, I thought the first fight actually may have been one of the more entertaining for the brief time.
Definitely.
Casemiro, I think, is probably somebody who I obviously wasn't familiar. I think that was his U.S. debut.
Right. When
I leave yesterday, that was one I was like, okay, I kind of would like to watch him. Yeah. And then he's in the same weight as Inoue.
He had that dude on Stupid Street.
Yeah, I
couldn't understand.
Yeah, it was bad.
I couldn't understand. It looked like dude had recovered.
I was late. That's why I ain't talking about this.
But below the waist, it was like his legs just were not there. He was light on his feet.
He just kept falling back into the ropes.
Yeah, and you put Steve Willis in a very difficult position because it's like, I got to stop this.
Yeah.
But I'm looking in your eyes and you're here with me.
Yeah.
I told you to walk this way. You stumbled that way, but you follow my command. I can't just stop this.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're all looking at this like, you got to stop it,
Right.
And then shortly after, Casemiro jumps on him and gets him out of there with a nice barrage of punches.
Yeah.
And he showed that he's exciting and he showed that he's entertaining. Definitely once he puts the hands on you. You know? So I think if anything, we were
one-handed push-ups after the win too.
Boom, yeah,
Very impressive.
We were gracious to get him last night with as long as the night was.
Yeah, and then you go from that, and then personally, Brandon Figueroa is talented. He's technically very sound. He's not overly responsible defensively, but his fights are pretty much the same every single time.
Yeah.
He's going to have a lot of output. He's going to land a lot of shots. He's going to wear a lot of shots, and that's kind of just how it goes.
Yeah.
So.
And guys like him, that's why they're fighting at the weight class that
Yeah.
he's fighting at. That's why guys fight at that weight. We try to get as many advantages as possible going into the ring. And more times than not, when you're a big guy like that fighting at that weight, it's like it doesn't matter how much more skillful the other guy is, how much more faster or slicker or anything like that. Eventually, it just is what it is. The weight and the body just catches up to you, and eventually he punches you out.
I would like to see a matchup, and I don't have a name off top of who. I would like to see a matchup with him with somebody who can throw some bombs.
Yeah.
He's in there with a guy yesterday he was cagey, I guess. He's there to fight, but he's not throwing huge punches. And I think with a guy like Figueroa, who has proven where he's not all the way there defensively. He fights a guy yesterday, he's not going to hurt him. Mm-hmm. If you fight somebody that can hurt you, then you're going to have to focus a little bit. Yeah. Then all that punch output, maybe does the punch output slow down? And with that, I think you go back to that weight. Eric Morales, Barrera, you had these guys that did throw bombs.
Yep.
And there's nobody right there right now that's just,
I think we won't get Figueroa versus.
Hold on, you wasn't here.
I got something else to roll off that.
Okay.
Punch output versus power. Figueroa, my boy, the Floyd guy. Leo, yes. Yeah, Leo versus my boy. Come on, man. Y'all know
Angelo Leo?
The voice. What was that?
Santa Cruz versus
Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz versus
Gervonta Davis.
Power versus punch out.
Oh yeah, I see where you're going with that now. I see where you're
Power
going.
versus punch out.
You took too long.
We actually might have talked about that yesterday, or one of the two of us with Santa Cruz. That's exactly what those fights were like. Mm-hmm. Leo, again, technically sound fighter, very good, good speed, good punch angles, but he's not gonna hurt anybody. So
Boom.
it's just you're watching it.
Let's move to the Charlos because I want to come back to Leo and Gervonta.
Thanks, yeah.
So Jamal Charlo gets in the ring first. Represented, put it down against Derevyanchenko.
Tough fight.
It ended up being a tough fight.
Yeah.
Where do you start? You know what I mean? I just thought it was a tough fight, but I thought he handled it. But basically, from the from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
There was some really close rounds,
Yeah.
and there was some rounds where Derevyanchenko like really took advantage, used again the punch output to really gain control in some of those rounds and even pull out some of those rounds. I thought that the scores were a little bit more lopsided than I expected.
I agree.
But overall, I thought Jamal did a good job.
He controlled the fight. He put a beating on him. I mean, if
Yeah.
you look at him,
Yeah, Sergey, has been known to be a slow starter, but he was a really slow starter yesterday, where he gave up the first however many rounds, and then all of a sudden, when you get to those middle rounds, and then you're like, okay, he's getting into Jamal's chest a little more. He's then he started to kind of dictate the pace a little bit more. But it was a good fight. I thought Charlo did well. I thought that was a guy that it's easy not to look good against. Triple G did not look good against him. Danny Jacobs struggled a little bit against him as well.
Yeah.
So I think Charlo, even if you again, styles make fights, but if you look at Triple G, Danny, Charlo, I think Charlo looked the best of the three.
I agree 100%.
I felt like both Charlos last night fought well off their back foot. Better than I expected, honestly.
Well, my knock with Jamal Charlo last night was I felt like anytime Derevyanchenko got close, he went to clinch him, he went to hold him and grab him instead of just continuing to work off your back foot. So I felt like there were points where he worked off of the back foot, but there were more points where he didn't, and he decided to grab him and look for the referee to get in there instead of just doing your job as a fighter and fighting the guy off of you or doing what you have to do to keep a guy at bay with your jab, with feints. Again, the foot movement, being able to circle a ring and keep a guy off you. I mean, they're basics to boxing, and I felt like that part was missing out of his game last night because he instead chose to get up on him and grab him and clinch him and look for the ref. There were times where he went really low and even grabbed him by the thigh.
Veteran move, though. Veteran move.
I guess I didn't notice it as much as he definitely held, and he was definitely looking to hold at times, but you've been held a lot in your career, so maybe you have like a soft spot for that. But I guess I didn't notice.
My man don't even like hugs.
Yeah, he looks for the second you go for a hug for Shawn, he looks for the
Get
ref.
off me!
He looks
Get
for the
off me!
ref.
What a ref at?
No, but I thought Charlo. I thought he did well. He definitely, there were times when he held, but I thought he did enough, especially once Derevyanchenko, once he got in his rhythm. I thought that could have, if Jamal wasn't not mentally prepared, but if he wasn't ready for that, that could have caught him off guard. But I thought he stayed composed.
Well, I think the part that if anything bothers me about it is when I see your game plan and I see it play out and I see that was the preparation for Derevyanchenko's punch output and his pressure was to get up close, clinch him, hold. Okay, clinch, hold. Unfortunately, Derevyanchenko's not going to make any adjustment for that clinch hold, but at some point, fake you're going to go in for the hold and then rip something off. You
That's
know what I mean?
kinda
Like that was my
Jamel
thing. Was
did a little bit.
I felt like the game plan was only to clinch him, only to smother him and allow the referee to do his job. There was no play off of that, and that was where I had a problem.
He's essentially Derevyanchenko is a less athletic, heavier you.
You said that last night.
Yeah,
and I
think
was like, what?
The footwork.
No, the footwork's not there. I think
the
he's
footwork.
less athletic, just generally, but I think he has a similar mindset of, I'm going to get to your chest. You're going to have to hold me. And he also has, and it's not a knock on either of you, because those are the top guys, but he's also had those fights where when he does get in there with the guys where it's the elite of the elite, where he's come up just a little bit short. Right. But that was an entertaining fight, and I think after the ones before that, we were kind of like, okay, let's hope this is good. And I think it was good. I agree, though, like you said, I think the scorecards were a little wide.
And I think just one more thing. I think the Derevyanchenko fight was what y'all tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think it was right at that point of being as competitive as I expected it to be. I think it was right there. Yeah. It wasn't any less and it wasn't any more. I think both guys really came in and really played their roles last night.
Yeah, I would agree. There were times when Charlo led the action. There were times when Derevyanchenko led the action. Yeah, I would agree. I think it was about what I expected.
Yeah, I felt Derevchenko could have turned it up more.
Yeah.
He could have been more on the gas.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he has that.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking the same thing. Like, especially when you got towards those last rounds,
Yeah,
I was like,
he just seemed
dude,
like
like
he
you
took a lot
really,
out of him.
this is the time
Yeah,
where if you're going to
go.
win one of these elite fights, you really got to put the gas pedal
Yeah.
down. And I'm just not sure if he had A, the energy potentially, or B, the capability of doing so. Kind of like we mentioned with Danny, can he actually do it?
Y'all gonna be mad at me, but I don't respect anybody that starts slow. I don't understand.
I know.
I don't understand it.
My man, hey, what was it? 30 seconds into the fight, I was upset.
Was it that fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
last
that
night.
fight?
Yeah, yeah.
That actually was
No,
funny.
it wasn't that fight.
No, it was Rosario.
Yeah, 30 seconds into the fight.
yeah.
He's upset.
That was hilarious.
I'm like, are you
That
kidding
may have
me?
actually been the highlight of the 6-hour affair there.
Jamel Charlo, Jason Rosario.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, Sean said you had time to warm up in the dressing room.
Yeah.
It's time to go.
It was so quick into the fight. It was literally, that's not an exaggeration. It was literally 30 seconds into the fight. And neither of them had really thrown. Charlo maybe threw a jab out there just to do it, just to stretch his
And that's
shoulder
Charlo's
out.
thing. You know, Jamel, he comes out and he circles the ring and he really tries to figure out, okay, what are you gonna do? And if anything, he's gonna pop that jab. The jab is strong,
Yeah.
it's fast,
We saw
and it's
that.
rangy.
Yeah.
and we saw that. But my whole thing with Jason Rosario
He was
is
disgusted. You were disgusted.
In 30
30
seconds.
seconds in, he's like,
So what
"Oh,
did I
man."
say?
You knew who was going to win.
I don't know what you said.
No,
but it
he
was
said
funny,
he's
though.
not doing enough.
Yeah.
He's not busy enough.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, all right,
30 seconds in.
Yeah. They come out. I said, what is he doing? And said, all right, calm down. Everybody's not you. I said, you don't have to be me. I'm not saying go out there and just throw combinations and start working. I said, but if your rhythm is to come out and use your jab and press a guy, I did not see Jason Rosario come out and use his jab and press the guy. And then Ant looked at me and said, so what you think he said? What you saying that the stage is too big for him right now? I said, yeah. Basically, it might be a little too big for him right now.
Oh, you
This
did
might
go
be-
that route.
I said this might
You
be a
did go the
moment that
shook
he's
run- the
not
shook ones
prepared
route.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said this might be a moment that he's not prepared for. And what round did he get knocked down in? Was it the first or was it the second? It was the first round.
First.
That was a weird knockdown, too.
And y'all was mad at me, but I think y'all were mad because my first comment.
Probably.
But he got dropped with a left hook. Left hook,
yeah.
top of the head. The replay shows that he got touched. Now here's the thing. Feel me on this.
Hey, hold on. This might ruin our relationship.
No.
I'm saying it. I don't care. I'm saying it. It's going to ruin our friendship. If he got dropped, Sean got dropped versus Ugas.
I said what I say and what I say. It was two different things.
No.
Two different things. So here's my thing, which I feel proves what I was saying at the beginning of the fight. When you get touched like that with the left hook, it grazes you.
Yeah.
And you're shook and you go down. Now in the replay, it looked like his foot slipped off of the canvas and things like that.
Looked like your foot slipped off the canvas.
That really played on the knockdown as well. And because of the way he fell, I was like, whoa, he's hurt. However, it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the fight. When your feet ain't wet and you're not ready for anything, and the only thing in your mind is this guy punches hard, I got to stay away from him. The first thing you get touched with, your mind is telling you to go down.
Yeah.
Your mind is telling you you're hurt when you're not. And I feel like that's what happened with the first knockdown.
So that's why when he got up, he was good.
Yeah.
Because I thought I'm like, if he's hurt, he's going to be
he
done.
was good, but he knew he had got knocked down.
Okay.
And he knew that he had to come back from that.
And he did.
Yeah,
And
he
he
did.
did.
He did. He had a good round.
He had a lot of good rounds.
Yeah.
What round? I don't know what round he stopped him in.
I think it was fifth.
Because we felt
I
like
thought
in
it
the
was
middle.
later than that, like 7 or 8 maybe.
Eighth?
Yeah.
Oh, eighth round.
Yeah.
Eighth round.
8, yeah. He.
Eighth round.
I think he actually probably won a majority of the rounds, if I'm being honest.
I don't remember having him winning a majority of the rounds, but I do remember going into the 8th round, I had him down by 1 round, and that's including the knockdown.
It was close. That was a good fight.
I think including the knockdowns, I had him down by 2 rounds.
That was
All right, from a fighter's perspective, what happened with that jab? I've never seen nothing like
did
that.
not look
Sean, in
pleasant, though.
all my years.
The slow motions, they take away from
Yeah.
what actually happens. So in slow motion, you do see that he got hit. It didn't look like he got hit in the solar plex, which we know really does push the air out of you. There's anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds of you really gasping for air and not being able to breathe. It didn't look like he hit him in the solar plex, but it looked like he hit him right there in just the mid part of his abdomen, which just pushed all of the air out of him. So here's my thing, because I had to go back and dissect that. He goes down and he starts to, it looks like he was having convulsions. He was just kind of, I felt like this guy never got hit with anything like that before. I felt like shock is what was happening while he was on the ground, trying to catch his air, trying to catch his breath. And that was what we saw, what our eyes saw. Our eyes saw him convulsing. Our eyes saw there was something really wrong with him.
A panic attack.
It was. I felt like it was more of a panic attack than anything. It was more of a panic attack because he had never felt anything like that before.
Big stage.
Yep.
Derek James, when they mic picked him up saying, bro. Man, it looked like he was having a seizure or something. Shout out to Derek James, though. Now has two different unified champs. Can I throw something out there?
Go for it.
Is he the best trainer in boxing?
No.
Okay.
Can't give him that.
No.
Take KP out of the equation.
KP's not the best trainer in boxing.
I'm just talking to him.
Well, that's gonna be a problem.
Hey, I guarantee y'all, my dad busts open the door right now. He quiet. Yeah.
Hey, why you think
quiet?
I took that back. Hey, KP,
quiet.
I'm just playing.
Well, no, let's keep it real.
Yeah.
I don't know if my dad's the best boxing coach out there.
Because he has a different fighter.
Well, my whole thing with my dad is I don't think it's up to me to say. I think it would take another fighter to say that I work with Kenny Porter. He's a very good coach. He's one of the best coaches I've ever had. I think we need to see that and hear that. Yeah, which I guess is basically what you just said.
Outside of him training you as a professional, he has helped with the amateur program, the Olympic program. So he's done that a little bit. I guess my question, if Derek James isn't, who is?
Right? Yeah. I'm trying to.
That's a good point.
That out.
Because that was kind of the thing yesterday. He's the only one with two unified champions now. So everyone said, is that the best? To me, and both of those guys, I think they have. I think Errol, and again, it's the relationship of, is the fighter helping the trainer look good, trainer helping the fighter, or is it both?
Right.
But I think Errol adjusts well in fights. I thought he did well with Charlo yesterday. Might be number one for me.
Best trainer in boxing, Angel Garcia.
No. Untrue. But
come on, man.
I gotta go with Derek.
Yeah, I think it is Derek for me.
You gotta give it to Derek.
I'll come back next week with the answer. Because I don't feel that is Derek James. And it's nothing, nothing biased at all. I just don't feel like it's him. I think right here, if anything, you have the classic Tom Brady, Bill Belichick situation where these guys are doing things. Well, I'm going to speak on Errol.
Yeah.
And I think Errol has made adjustments fight by fight. You can see their game plans in the fights really play out. And I think that he's done a terrific job with Errol. Errol's done a terrific job of listening and being prepared for the fights. Jermell Charlo is in a division that really does not challenge him.
Fair.
And so I think with him being really the biggest and the strongest in the division, I feel like it's really all in his hands every time he goes out.
What about
it's a classic case with Tony Harrison?
Yeah, what about if you look at that relationship, like you were saying, where he maybe isn't tested? I think sometimes also the trainer, you need to, and that can go for any sport, you need to let your guy, the guy in there, do what he does. Same thing with basketball, football.
What you mean?
So I think to not micromanage. For Derek James to know, okay, Errol can do A, B, and C well.
Yeah.
Don't make him do something different that's not going to enhance his skills. Just let him do what he does and be there to offer tips, strategy, tactics, stuff to that effect. So I guess where you were saying like he doesn't amplify them up that much.
Yeah.
I think he also doesn't hold them back. Yeah. Where kind of we talked about, and not to go back to Angel Garcia didn't help Danny in your fight. I don't think Derek James ever has not helped Errol or Charlo in a fight. And I think he has enhanced them in every fight, in my opinion.
Nice.
And just to cover up so I don't get whooped, reason why I feel like Kenny's not the best is because just we'd have had this conversation between me and you, just like our dads just was old school. If your name doesn't say Porter, I don't think you can survive Kenny's training, Kenny's tactics. Yeah. I had a cousin come in, move with us, and lasted 3 months because my dad was like, I'm going to break you so you can never say the world broke you. just because you carry the name of the family, and I don't think someone could deal with the discipline and the toughness of a Kenny Porter if your name don't say Porter.
I've been actually intrigued by that for years now, as far as getting another. It doesn't have to be elite, but another good, solid, proven professional with your dad, just because you guys and people who use it as a criticism. I look at it. Some people look at it as a good thing. It's both, where you're just you follow his directive. You've said it before. Wherever my dad says go, I'm going. I don't know if that works for another fighter because I don't think there is that commitment.
Right. So obviously I can speak to that. The first thing is Kenny Porter.
Yeah.
He will tell y'all right now. He come in the room and we'll tell him what we're talking about. He's like, yeah. He says, I don't want to deal with anybody else.
Yeah.
I think my dad knows as much struggle as he's had with me and as much hard work as he's put in with me. I think my dad understands that there's no one else he can give that kind of energy to,
And that will receive that kind of energy.
and not only receive it, but what's
Appreciate it.
my dad knows what I'm gonna do. He doesn't know what Ant's gonna do.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what Carson's gonna do. You know, no matter how much time he spends with y'all, my dad is he's very.
He knows how far he can push you.
Yeah. And so I think it's like that. And then on the other hand, I've seen my dad would say thousands. I've seen thousands of fighters come and go because a lot of them, they couldn't handle what my dad was giving them. A lot of them just didn't have the patience to even figure out the process. Forget the patience to go with the process.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't have the patience to figure out the process. You know?
It also is something where, and not to make this the Kenny Porter episode, we'll get you down on at some point.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the-
for sure.
which will be hilarious. Yeah, shout out to KP.
Ooh, that'll be a wild show.
But I think that's also part of the criticism of Shawn Porter. He comes up short in these fights. He kind of fights a similar style. That's where a lot of people say, oh, well, he needs to leave his dad. And you've said before, I'm not boxing without my dad.
Yeah.
Especially at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, you're old.
Yeah.
So at this point, like, wow, you're really going to change trainers. But
Right. Leo Santa Cruz fighting Gervonta Davis. How do you see the fight going?
I
was so mad we didn't speak on that last week, but we got more time.
Yeah, and we still
Yeah,
have
we
a
got
couple-
time.
Was it
We
the
could do the week
14th,
of.
I think?
Yeah.
We still got time.
Yeah, I think we'll get a little deeper into it closer to time, but
Right.
I think Tank wins, but it'll be interesting to see Tank navigate around somebody who's such a good skilled boxer that throws high output, like we said earlier, going back to those fights last night. But I think Tank probably, if he doesn't stop him, I think he gets close to stopping him.
I say Leo, the best chance he has to take him deep.
Yeah,
He has to
for
get
sure.
him 8th round, 9th round deep and just keep. That's his only chance, is just working him all night, because Tank's going to hit him with some stuff, and how he takes it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say if you tell me to bet now, I would take Tank, but
Tank took a big dive between rounds 8 and
yeah.
10 or 11 in his last fight.
Yeah.
And he had never really been that far. And then in 12, he comes in and he closes the show.
Yeah.
Which, you know, a lot of people talked about his conditioning and things like that. Again, between rounds 8 and 10 or 11 going into 12. And that's just something that you need to make you got to correct in preparation, correct in camp and things like that. But I get what you're saying, taking them deep, because if you haven't been there or you don't really know how to operate through those rounds, you know, even rounds 8 through 10 or 11 were rounds where he kind of coasted because he felt like, you know, 12 is coming. I gotta be ready for 12.
Especially when you get later in the fight where maybe you're not as experienced and you're also fighting a guy like Leo, who by all accounts always comes in good shape.
Yeah.
Where he's gonna have the energy, and he also, again, going back to the punch output, those rounds, if Tank does take those off, you better damn sure hope that you won every other round.
Because 5 rounds in, he could have taken much
for sure
punches as he's taking a whole
Yeah.
fight from Leo.
Because then
Leo's throwing them.
When it gets late, if Leo's still able to throw those, you can take off the rounds, but you're going to lose the rounds.
Yeah.
So you better hope you can hit him with a bomb late.
When I dissect this fight, so first of all, I think Tank's gonna win this fight. I think it's gonna go the distance. I'm a big Leo Santa Cruz fan on every level, so I'm hoping that he comes out there and is able to work with Tank. I don't see it being a one-sided fight the way a lot of people do see it being. Tank, I think Leo's going to win rounds. But when I dissect the fight and I figure out, okay, what's the best way for Leo to win this fight? I remember the first time he fought Carl Frampton, it was back and forth, and it was like the rounds that he won, he finished on the top of the exchange. The rounds that he lost, he finished on the bottom of the exchanges. He comes back in the rematch, and he's just like this different boxer.
Yep.
He's using the ring. He's not as aggressive going forward as he was before. And there were moments where he really allowed Frampton to come in, and he was able to counter Frampton and continue to move. First of all, I don't think Tank's been in the ring with a boxer like that that can use the ring, a boxer that is ring savvy and
Makes you think.
and smart, intellectual in the ring, can get you out of position and make moves. So, I mean, even to counter that, how do you get Tank out of position? The dude is athletic.
I think the biggest key for me might be, can Leo get Tank to respect his power enough not to come at him? Because if
he's coming,
well, he is. But if Leo can, whether it's by combination or by landing a solid shot, if he can at least make Tank think, maybe I shouldn't just bull rush in. Like you said, Tank's an athlete. Tank's an athlete that has power.
Yeah.
So he, I think, is one of those where if Leo can get him to respect the power and not charge in like that, there's a good chance for at least for it to be a super exciting fight. But if Tank early feels Leo's power and he's like, yeah, this is nothing, then you can walk him down, charge him in, however you want to go. Then Tank can just gas pedal fully down there.
I can see him having his foot on the gas pedal and things not really playing out the way he expects it to. And one or two things gonna happen. He's gonna run out of gas, which you talking about, which I could see happening.
Yeah,
he has to manage it.
or then he starts to try to figure out how to manage it. And I don't know. I'm gonna say it more and more and more. But the more you get a guy to hesitate, the more you can take control. And those might be the times where Leo can take control.
Yeah, I think it's about hesitating. It's about Leo getting him to, whether it's setting traps defensively or getting him to respect the power enough. If you can get Tank at least thinking, I can't just go 100% at him, that's where I think Leo's best chance will be.
Yeah, Leo just gonna have to have Tank work every round, every minute of every round.
Don't be there to get hit.
Yeah. You're gonna have to be throwing stuff. It's gonna be a fight. I think
Leo's got to work every round.
Yeah. He's going to work every round.
Yeah.
We know that. It's going to be a good fight.
Oh, well, shoot. Let me go back to it. So, in the rematch with Carl Frampton, he was more of a boxer using the ring, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Do you just expect the classic Leo of coming at him, punch output, things like that, or do you expect that
he has to be
rematch
smart.
Carl Frampton?
Be smart. He's walking into power.
Yeah, it has to be probably between those two. Because I think if you go, if Santa Cruz comes forward and just is all action, is all throwing, he's probably going back the other way on his ass. But I think it has to be both. He has to be active enough, but also responsible enough defensively and moving.
I know another thing that people are focused on with this fight is Gervonta Davis making 130. That's a big thing.
It's always a mystery.
That's
likes to keep the people guessing.
Because if he makes the weight, a lot of people are thinking that he might be, pulling a lot out of himself. And obviously, with every fighter, it's like, how can you replenish yourself and can you build it all back up before the night of the fight?
Hey, I got a guy for him, a strength and conditioning coach, if he wants to get it right.
You ain't got a guy.
Right. He knows a guy who knows a guy.
You know a guy. See how he shoot me down?
Yeah.
Ain't nothing.
Shout out to Coach Wade.
Shout out to Coach Wade, man.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about that outside of the weigh-in and the fight.
Yeah, right.
Because even and people are always detectives. They'll see a picture of Tank and they're like, hey, I don't know, you looks a little heavy. Yeah. That could be from 3 weeks before that, and he could have lost weight since then. Yeah. So Tank has proven to have a little bit of an issue with weight. Yeah. So
Tank have fights before the fight with weight issue.
Yeah. So I don't think it's unfair for somebody to question his weight, and I think anyone that thinks it's unfair to is in themselves being unfair. But hopefully, again, looking at it from a positive outlook, I hope he makes weight well, isn't drained when he gets in there.
I also know that Leo Santa Cruz has implemented some different strength and conditioning things to build himself up. And it was prior to this fight with Gervonta Davis. He's been doing it for about a year and probably a couple years now. So you got a guy who's trying to bring.
That was just mysterious. I have no idea how to feel.
He's got a guy who's trying to bring some power behind
You always
the
bring
punch output.
inside info.
But it was like inside, but like
Yeah,
incredibly
yeah,
vague. Was he
this
training
guy.
with like Rasai
Oh, I
Ghul
can't say,
from
I
the
can't say.
League of Shadows?
Could be.
Hey, next week we coming with some inside info.
Nah, you ain't coming with
Yeah, we
that.
coming with something.
What you got?
I'm hollering at my boy Sean.
Inside the 702.
Yeah, we
Yeah, yeah.
No one
That
cares about the 702.
That's how I feel about
Shout 330
the
216.
whatever is that 216.
Yeah, 330-216. Yeah, I hope that Leo comes in with more power because that makes it interesting.
I just wanted to let you know that, when we talk about certain fighters, I think we have the things that we know about them, and then there's things that we don't know about them, and that's one thing you did not know is that
I still don't know.
He's been working on his power for some time, and it could be a different Leo Santa Cruz, especially at 130.
Fair enough. I'll take your word for it.
Hey, so he's working with Coach Wade, assistant. Hey, don't try to play us. Hey, Carson, we ain't that stupid. We wear bamboo socks.
Actually, I'm pretty. Yeah, actually, bamboo socks are
I got some
shout
black
out.
ones on.
You ain't got no bamboo.
Oh, they
That,
cotton. They from Louisiana.
That I'm not sure if it's Coach Wade. I have a hunch on what it is. I don't even, and Sean knows.
It don't matter.
I don't even want to address.
It don't
that
matter. I mean,
situation. That's
the
fine.
point is.
Yeah.
When we talk about boxing styles make fights, so on and so
Yeah.
forth, how does this guy win, so on and so forth, bringing that attribute to the game now changes things
For sure.
Because again, you're talking about
Respect
if
the
you
power.
can get Gervonta Davis to respect your power,
Yeah.
understand that there's some pop coming when I come in there,
Yeah.
and I have to redirect things,
Yeah.
and get them hesitating, so on and so
Output,
forth. So,
power.
yeah,
If
exactly.
that combines well.
Exactly.
One thing I wanted to mention off Leo and Tank, because again, we'll go deeper into that once we get closer to that fight, which I'm excited for. It kind of snuck up on us, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, but I'm ready for it.
We actually had somebody on Twitter is wondering, going back to the fights last night, you mentioned 154, Charlo's kind of the guy. So some of the options are people moving up. They were wondering if you would be interested in moving up to 54 or able to.
It's a conversation I
could
had with my
definitely-
dad.
you're able to.
I could definitely move up.
Yeah.
I could definitely. I know what could happen for me at 154, but I talked to my dad, and my dad's like, "Hey, that's not something that we really need to do or want to do right now, especially with you being so close to this guy, that guy, so on and so forth." And
Yeah.
that was back in the early part of the summer, spring to the summer. So. I don't see myself moving up to 154 anytime soon.
Yeah.
But so out of the guys moving up to from 147 to 154, I think, I know
Errol
I
wouldn't fight
could
him.
contend. Obviously, Errol wouldn't fight him. I think Keith Thurman could contend easily at 154.
I would agree.
Easily.
Yeah, I would agree. And that kind of ties into another conversation. I think Kell Brook at 54 is interesting too.
Kell Brook should have stayed at 54.
Well, he's not anymore. He's going
I
down to
know. He
47.
should have stayed at 54.
No. He
Yeah, I
should
would
have
have felt
stayed
like
at
that after the
47.
fight too.
Well, okay, so he should have stayed at 47, but he's been at 54 before.
One
and
of
he
the
should stay there.
biggest career missteps,
Yeah.
matchmaking wise, I'm 29 in my lifetime, is Kell Brook fighting Triple G.
I didn't understand it at all.
Money grab.
I didn't.
Unless
but why?
The
At
money
that point
had to
in
have
time?
been really, really good.
Yeah,
for that.
exactly.
Good,
yeah.
man.
And he's also a confident guy. Boxers are confident. I don't think if you asked any
Hey, you was the
boxer-
guy saying everybody scared last
No,
week.
I'm saying, but if you ask a boxer, I don't think they're gonna be like, nah, he's too good for me. But yeah, I think Triple G, that fight where he breaks his orbital bone, then you're more susceptible to breaking the other side, your other orbital bone, and then that happens against Errol. So I think with that, so Kell Brook, going back to that, is rumored to be close to signing with Terence Crawford, Bud
Right.
Crawford.
Right.
Kind of a polarizing fight on social media. People are bashing it like Kell Brook is no good and he's washed and you're fighting a bum, you're not fighting any of the good guys. I don't think Kell Brook. I think if Kell Brook doesn't fight Triple G, Kell Brook is without question in the top 3 welterweights for me.
Right now.
Yeah. If he was still the prime
yeah.
Kell Brook.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why people are acting like Kell Brook is a slouch. And also, if you want Terence Crawford to fight a true welterweight, Kell Brook is a big welterweight.
Yep.
So I don't really understand the bashing of it.
Well, that's what I meant by he should stay at 154.
Yeah.
He's been dating all the way back to when we fought.
Yeah.
And that was 2014.
Yeah.
He's been having problems making that weight class for that long, you know. So for him to go up to 160 and fight Triple G, then say I'm either gonna fight at 154, 147. You have some catchweight fights, so on and so forth. Coming back down to 147, nutritionally, really isn't the best move for him. But a lot of guys, we see it time and time again, has got squeezed into weight classes for those minutes, hours that they have to make the weight, and then they replenish, they get it all back in, and they're ready to go for the fight. So
what do you think about that fight?
I agree with, well, first of all, I agree with you 100%. If you're talking about Terence Crawford coming up and taking over the division, but he hasn't fought any true welterweights, now you got a real true welterweight in front of him. It's been some time since I have seen Kell Brook. The last time I did see his fight with the kid from Boston, can't think of his name right now.
Can't either.
I did see that fight. He ended up stopping the kid.
Yeah.
Is actually a friend of mine and I can't remember his name right now, but I did think that he looked good. He looked like he used to look. He looked technical.
Yeah.
And he looked like he wasn't missing any steps. And so saying that gives me thinking about that fight gives me confidence that he could at least be ready for this fight with Terence Crawford. A lot of people think that he's a slouch. When you get run over twice the way that he did, people just write you off. You know what I mean? So that, I think, more than anything, is just not the name that people are looking for when they're looking for a
the
Terence
name
Crawford fight.
they want is Shawn Porter. and just to put that, just because that is literally the number one question. So Terence Crawford isn't fighting you.
Right.
No matter who he's fighting, he's not fighting you, Errol or Keith or any of them.
Right.
Is that something where there was I know you've said before there was a conversation where Bud kind of said, I'm not going that direction. I have some other stuff coming up. Do you think it was a conversation where Bud made a business decision that he didn't want to fight you boxing competitively wise? Like, did you think he was like, I don't want to fight you not because we're friends or because I have other business ventures, but I don't think I should fight you?
Just your. Sorry, I think it takes a lot to make a PBC top rank fight.
It
takes more than just Shawn. Shawn says it. It takes more than just Shawn.
But if
and Terence,
I disagree though. I think
they need more. I feel like PBC top rank want money. They don't want just what they regular. They can pay Shawn and Terence on their side without doing business together. They're going to make real money. If they're going to do that.
I think if Shawn went to Al Heyman and said, I want to fight Terence Crawford went to Bob Arum and said, I want to fight Shawn Porter, I think that fight happened.
Call Al right now.
I think that happens.
That would be the best guess of all time.
Without saying too much, what was said to me was, if you guys really want that fight, I'll try to negotiate it for you.
Yeah.
Exactly what you just said. It was told to me it's not going to be an easy negotiation, and it's going to take a lot of work. But if that's what you want, we can at least talk about it some more.
Try to make it happen.
Yeah, and that was some time ago.
Yeah.
But I think the understanding was that really just the business side of it between Top Rank and PBC at that point in time when we had the conversation, that was before, I believe that was before Tyson Fury and Wilder on the big crossover pay-per-view.
Okay.
So I think now understanding that it could work.
Yeah.
That honestly,
and that's a pay-per-view fight for sure, by the way.
Yeah.
In case anyone was curious.
And so when I was at the fight working Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, I kept thinking to myself, like, dang, I got to make this happen. Like, I need this for myself. Like, this is too much fun.
Crazy.
This is too big. And I need this
Working
before I'm done.
Bradley.
Yeah, and I loved it. Yeah. And, after having the conversation with Terence, I was just like, okay, it's not going to happen right now. But for me, it's on the back burner. For him, he said, hey, I got some other things I'm working on. Maybe it is Kell Brook. Maybe at another point in time, it wasn't going to be Kell Brook, but now it is.
What do you think
Whatever
it sets
the
up?
case may be. What does it set up?
So this fight for Terence, if you go because you're friends with Terence Crawford.
I think every fight for Terence is
proving yourself.
When are you going to fight a PBC fighter?
Yeah.
So what is it set up? What is it set up for Terence Crawford?
So he fights Kell Brook. He
beats him. Let's just say he hypothetically
beats him.
Yeah.
is that something where other welterweights say, okay, he proved himself a little bit?
He's proven to me.
Okay.
He's proven to me, but I'm not.
You're crazy if you don't respect
I'm
him.
not everybody else is.
Yeah.
But let me keep it real with y'all.
Yeah.
A lot of people hide behind that. A lot of people hide behind he hasn't fought anyone. A lot of people hide behind he ain't been through a war yet.
Yeah.
A lot of people hide behind he's unproven. Get in there and prove that.
Yeah.
I think
he's unproven.
I think to what Ant said, I think there's a difference between unproven and not respecting them or doubting their ability. Like I have no doubts about Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford is pound for pound top 3.
Right.
I think he's great. I think he's a great athlete. I think he can hang in there. I don't think he gets dismantled by any welterweight. I think him and Errol's a great fight, but I haven't seen him in there with any welterweight where I'm like, oh, okay, Terence Crawford fought somebody that I consider
He got dropped in his last fight. I said it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he definitely got dropped
in his last fight.
So I mean, if you look at that, he's stepping
It
in there.
happens.
He's stepping in there right now. With
You
a
got
guy
dropped
that-
in your fight.
No, I didn't.
allegedly.
Your last fight.
Oh, against
no,
Errol.
no,
That's not
fight. Oh no, I was over that one.
but so he fights. So he goes to fight Kell Brook. I think that whether you think Kell Brook is a top 5 welterweight or a top 25 welterweight, that's a true welterweight. So to me, it goes from I already respect his ability. I think he's great. But show me
what you're saying.
that you're in there with a true welterweight. No matter how you handle that, I just think you'll see him in there. And then to the people that doubt, of course, what that's going to do is the goosebumps, choose your adventure. Then you watch that and people are going to say, oh, well, he did that. And, Errol beat Kell Brook, and when he did that, so it's going to be connecting dots.
Yeah, it's
where
just
they're
how it
like,
goes.
It's how it goes after every
my
fight.
fight with Errol Spence Jr., everybody was chirping
Yeah.
Terence Crawford versus Shawn Porter. Nobody was chirping that prior to my fight with Errol Spence Jr., but they saw the way that I handled Errol Spence and the way I took control, and they're like, damn, okay, this fight with Terence Crawford might be a better fight than the fight with Errol Spence Jr.
No disrespect, Terence Crawford. But y'all different fighters, man.
And also,
Yeah.
different fighters.
And that's another narrative that I don't think you exposed Errol Spence, and I'm not sure there's a fight that I can think of off the top of my head where somebody was exposed, where you watched it and you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that about him.
But I think we talked about that before.
Yeah.
I don't really exposing a fighter. I don't really
Yeah.
believe in that. I believe that every fighter is who they are,
Yeah.
and you either see that fighter in the ring with another fighter,
Yeah.
styles make fights, or you see something completely
Because
different.
afterwards, some people were like, oh, Shawn Porter exposed Errol Spence. I was like, Shawn Porter's an elite
yeah,
welterweight.
Yeah, you
He-
seen Shawn
he
Porter versus
tested him.
Errol Spence.
Yeah, he tested an elite welterweight, tested an elite welterweight. That it was a good fight. The styles matched up well, and that was just how that went. But I just the people thinking, oh, he exposed him. Like if Kell Brook lands some shots against Bud, oh, just Terence Crawford, is he exposed? That you saw him in there with a real welterweight. There's gonna be close fights. Kell Brook is a former champion. Kell Brook beat Shawn Porter.
Two things I'm gonna
comfortably.
go back to. So back to the coaching question: who's the best coach out there?
Okay.
I'm not saying this guy is the best coach out there, but I think Ronnie Shields is a better coach than Derek James.
Okay.
The other part of that is who can Jermell Charlo fight at 154 that can really challenge him? Is Landi Lara.
That's my guy.
I think Lara can
love
challenge
Lara.
him.
That's the only person I see.
I think
left.
it's the only person in the 154-pound weight class that can challenge Jermell Charlo.
He'll really have him thinking all night long.
My
And is he still
question-
being trained by
We got my
by
man
Ronnie
Sean
Shields?
here.
Yeah.
with that?
Now you want to speak up. 3 minutes left, and now you want to speak up.
Now I get to speak up. I had a lot more to offer.
I know
before
you
that.
did.
No,
We're gonna bring
no.
you in when it's
No,
real.
it's-
Yeah, we're gonna bring
no,
you
no.
in. When
That,
it's
Let
real.
me check. I will check. I will go to the phone.
My question is: has Lara maybe lost a little bit?
That's what we talked about last
Yeah,
night.
has he lost a step? I
after
love
the-
Lara.
Yeah, after the Jamel Charlo fight, we just kind of we just chilling for a second, and I was like,
gone.
Lara.
The second
Lara
that
think-
fight was gone, I was like,
out. I was like, I think Lara could challenge him,
Yeah.
but Lara's been through some wars.
Yeah.
The thing I love about Lara is that he's not gonna abandon who he is as a boxer.
what if he did just come in as a power puncher one fight?
He's not gonna abandon
That would
who
be
he is
excellent.
as a fighter.
Silas now.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
you're
not
right.
Silas.
You are,
Yeah.
you're right. The Cuban trainer.
The Cuban Whisperer.
Yep. That's what they call him.
What about Javon Hill for best trainer?
Hill, that was great. What we saw him do with Tyson Fury was great.
Right.
You gotta call him. You gotta
Sugar
call
Hill.
him Sugar Hill.
Yeah.
I didn't know what he was talking about for a second.
yeah, no.
You gotta call it Sugar Hill. And so one reason why I chose Ronnie Shields is because of I know his experience and his lineage as a trainer.
Yeah.
And the same thing for me with Sugar Hill. I would say that Sugar Hill's a better trainer than Derek James, but I've just seen Sugar Hill time and time again, and I know him personally, so I've worked with Sugar Hill.
What
So
about Robert Garcia?
I like Robert Garcia.
Is he up there?
Yeah, I like Robert Garcia.
What
Top
about for
five.
Derek James, just to kind of help argue for him over Ronnie Shields? Jermell started getting all those knockouts once he left Ronnie and went to Derek.
I think
Why
it
do you
was
think
gonna-
that is?
I think it was going to happen.
Right.
I think it was going to happen. Jamel Charlo was just a heavy-handed fighter with both hands too.
Yeah.
I mean, jab to the body.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You
Just
know,
the jab
so
to the body, and it was
how,
a wrap.
how long until that goes away? You know,
How are they-
jab to the body.
How's he punching like that when he's a guy who his KO percentage was hovering around 50%, and then once he wins the belt, he's knocking everybody out?
I don't concern myself with KO percentage because you got guys that can just eat them, and then you got guys that can't stand up to him. You got guys that can eat them for 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds, and then they've just had enough. You know, so when you talk about KO percentage, styles make fights. And even the fighter, what kind of fighter was he that Jamel was in the ring with prior to getting the belt? Jamel has knocked out some champions now, so you can't deny his power.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna just leave on this one because it's been such a great show.
It's funny though, but he did leave Ronnie Shields to go to Derek James.
Yeah.
What kind of contradicts?
And I'm pretty
what
sure
I
he said, yeah,
so.
he's the pound for pound best trainer. He didn't say that, but I think so.
But it's been an amazing show. I just want to ask one thing to these great hosts,
Yeah,
Carson, Sean.
Thank you.
Is Jermell
Don't forget Ann over there, and B.
Well, he was
on
nice enough
TV,
to just
right?
And I want your answer too. Then is Jermell Charlo a top 10 super welterweight all time? Because it's a weight class that guys don't stay at long. The Leonards, they only had 1 or 2 fights there.
Yeah, it's tough. I think there's such a shock value when you hear that. Like when anyone says top 10 anything all time, immediately people are gonna say no.
Yeah,
Your
immediately
immediate
you
reaction,
dog
you're like, what? No, that's crazy.
Not me.
Oh, so he is. Are you saying he's top 10 or are you just saying
I'm saying he's
typically
top
you
10
don't?
because he's unified. He got
Yeah.
all the belts, right? Except he got all the belts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's probably 17 other belts that are somehow around there. But
that's a downfall of boxing. But
very true.
I
But
got to put him in the top 10.
I'm not sure I disagree.
I mean, I will have to break it down. Obviously, we ain't
Yeah.
got time for all that.
yeah,
I'll put him in the top 10.
I'm not sure I disagree though.
Sean's over there breaking it down
This is
because that's
boxing
what Sean
scene.
does.
This is boxingscene.com.
Okay.
Top 20. Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah. Terry Norris is number 1. Terry Norris was a monster.
Who else
Tommy
you got up there?
Hearns.
Yeah,
At 2. Mike McCullum at 3.
body snatcher.
Body snatcher. Yeah.
That's such a solid nickname.
for sure.
Hold on, Carson, what's your answer?
I'm not sure I disagree with you.
Winky Wright at number 5.
He was the last one to have all 3. Well, not
Winky,
counting the
right?
WBO, but
Winky Wright.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you get 3 out of the 4,
I said Winky Wright, but yeah.
Nice.
He thought I
right.
said his name
That was
twice.
the
I was
over,
like,
over,
yeah.
over.
I was like,
Oh.
Winky, right?
and
That,
he tweeted him too, or Instagrammed Jermell to
Yeah.
congratulate him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I know after the fight that Jermell and I saw Errol tweeted him a little bit about that they think the older generation hates on them a little bit, that they don't give them their kudos,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's and somebody said that Floyd does, but I'm not sure that Floyd does. But the
Does
they were like that he.
Oh,
I haven't heard Floyd. He's a great fighter.
Yeah.
he's a great fighter.
that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's
about
about
you
it.
could insert name here, but yeah, I'm not sure I can disagree with that. I can't think of 10 that are stone cold locks that I'm like, oh, they're absolutely above him.
Yeah. The few that I named are
Yeah, for sure.
Oscar De La Hoya
Yeah,
in his prime.
yeah.
You
It is
know,
a transient
Shane Mosley in
division,
his prime.
like Sean said,
Yeah.
that it's something where
Felix Trinidad.
they pop up the shot to Felix Trinidad.
Yeah, it's your guy.
That's my guy. But where they pop in there for a fight or 2 fights and then they go back down.
Because
or go
again,
up.
it's that division that is in between the 2 hot divisions. You got middleweight and you got welterweight.
Yeah.
And it's that division that I guess people don't really respect.
Yeah.
And it's the division that people just want to Let me show you that I can be a champion here on my way up to 160.
I think
you know,
anytime when there's not an actual name for the division, where it's either junior middleweight or super welterweight, and it's not actually a name, they should come up with a name. In all fairness, for those divisions, but
Well, Jermel should be trumpeting it every time. I'm one of the greatest super welterweights of all time.
For sure.
or
He
just
should.
say it the Charlo
sure,
weight
you know.
or something. Maybe that's how he gets his claim for top 10.
It's a division that's only existed since the early 80s, late 70s.
Yeah.
So it's not a...
Not a ton of history
Yeah.
as far as that. He's great, and he's continued to prove that. I might not disagree. If at worst he's top 15, top 20 at worst, but I think he was. I think he's doing his thing, and I can't think of, like you said, Lara. There's not anyone else that really pops into my mind that I'm like, he gives him trouble.
Yeah, no one else. And you were talking about him earlier, the kid from DC,
Jared
Hurd is like gone off the face of the planet right now, and that division specifically is passing him by because the belts are being tossed around. He lost them.
I can't think of even a 160 guy that could go down to 54 comfortably, because a lot of those guys at 60, I'm like, they go up to 68. I don't know, man. He might if he can make the weight, he might be there forever, just knocking out whoever they put out in front of him, which is fine.
Right.
Super clearing out the division.
Yeah, those guys are they're so competitive, both of them. I think with each other and then in general. So I'm not sure if we're sitting here 2 fights from now and he's fought guys where you're like, okay, like you were probably supposed to beat them. I'm not sure if he can sit there and say, I'll just stay here and keep fighting these guys. Then I think he said, okay, let me slide up to 60.
I think it gets to a point where you're a prize fighter, like Floyd Mayweather on it when he turned from Pretty Boy to Money May. I think Charlo will get to the point where he'll catch weight, maybe go up to 160, maybe go 147 for the right amount of money, or meet you at 152.
No, he ain't coming down.
Yeah, he can't make 147.
You don't think he make? What you think he make? 150?
Cut his
I
leg
don't
off.
even think him being a unified champion, he would not even make a catch weight with anybody at 152.
Yeah, just stay where he's at?
More than likely, not even 153.
I would like to see Keith
Dude
in
is
there
just-
with him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. Keith.
I would like to see Keith and Charlo, but
I would like to see Keith in the ring.
that's also true. I like to see Keith in general. I'd like to see.
Come on, Keith.
Can we
Keith,
get?
where you at,
So
bro?
Abner Mara, shout out to Abner, has a podcast now. Can we
Keith,
get a Keith Thurman podcast?
Keith used to be one of my favorite fighters, man.
I would invite him on, but every time I text his number, I get a text back that say this is not Keith.
It's
Need me
Errol.
to get his number for you?
Get his number for me.
That's
What a guy.
funny.
You know somebody, don't you?
Yeah, we went to high
This
school.
dude know everybody.
Keith is such an interesting guy, and he's such a talented fighter.
Good dude too.
But it's just been a journey, man.
Yeah, it's been a journey
Keith's
in the
been
last
on a
few
wild.
years.
He's on the Coolio Fantastic Voyage. I feel like he disappears. He got married. Congrats to Keith. That could have been 5 years ago or last year. I have no clue.
What y'all want to do? Like a top 3 coaches when we come back next week?
Yeah,
Top 3.
Dylon.
I feel like I feel like I gotta like support not selecting Derek James as the best coach out there right now or the number 1 coach.
he's
out
up there though.
He's
and
up
you acknowledge that. And I don't think
Yeah, he's
Sean is not saying Derek James is not an elite coach.
Yeah.
You might be just
I
think he's number 1.
And I know specifically one of my things is if I haven't seen you work.
Yeah.
You know, or if I tried to listen yesterday in the corner.
Yeah.
And he was telling both guys, you know, look for this, look for that, which is what you want to do. You know, I don't like the coaches that say, man, do this, man, do that. Like, look for this.
Yeah.
This is what's open.
If he
and I
does
did hear
this,
that.
maybe you do that.
And I did hear that last night.
Yeah.
And I know the one thing that he told Charlo, the round that he knocked him out, going into the round, he said, throw the left hook. Trust me, it's gonna be there, and that stuck with me because I felt like that was good coaching.
Yeah,
he said the left hook is gonna be there. Trust me, just throw it. It's gonna land, and then he ends up throwing a jab to the body, and that's all she wrote.
Rozier might be another one too.
Rozier again, but I've worked with Rozier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Barry Hunter?
Maybe that's
Barry
my thing.
Hunter?
Barry's
Body head banger?
Barry's top 3 for me.
That's Roy.
But again, that could be bias on my side.
For sure.
So I don't know.
We'll talk about that
it
because
next week.
that'll be interesting. And happy anniversary of your first pay-per-view. It will be, when you're listening to this, it will be yesterday. As long as you're listening on Tuesday, which you should be.
Yeah, you should be listening.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
Hey, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. This is the Porterweight Podcast. We launch every Tuesday. Check it out on YouTube, all your favorite podcast platforms. Myself, Showtime, Shawn Porter. We got to get some nicknames for these guys.
C. Arson.
Comment on that. Like, we need some nicknames.
My nickname's Ant, okay?
Yeah, technically his name is Anthony, so Ant is technically a nickname
Stay
at that
blessed.
point.
I'm going to say this before we roll. So when I met Carson Merk back in like 2006, we started to hang out a little bit, and I just started calling you Mercules.
Yeah.
So that kind
No,
of stuck
we're not
with me
doing
for a
that. We're
minute.
not doing
So
that. We're not doing
I was just throwing that one out there for y'all. Mercules.
My man, don't call my
Arson.
man Merkley.
Mud over there.
Mud, that's racist.
There's mud over
I
there.
feel like that's racist.
You from the mud.
That's an inside joke. Y'all let it go.
Louisiana.
I wish
Y'all know
somebody,
what it is.
Y'all don't call me no mud outside.
Louisiana, y'all know what it is.
Hey, you call me mud, I'm gonna put the paws on you. Okay?
God bless y'all. Have a great day. If you get a chance, make it. Take care.